If you are thinking about moving to Colorado Springs, or maybe you've been here for a little bit and just want to explore some different areas, well, this video is definitely for you. We are going to be exploring some of the major sub areas here in Colorado Springs, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. So be sure to stick around until the end to see if you might want to make a little move here sometime soon.
All right, so hey, we're gonna jump right into this. The first thing I wanna do is give a quick little overview of these areas we're gonna talk about. Now, let me also say, the areas that we say, you may not find them on a map. These are just kind of the names given to some of the areas around town. Some of them you'll definitely see if you're on a Google map, but number one, we're just gonna start at 12 o'clock on a clock, gonna work ourselves clockwise around. And yeah, so Northgate, we're gonna break each of these down in more detail. So this is just an overview. Northgate, north side of town, newest part of town, a lot of new development going on up there. And then if you move over on the clock, I would say the next one would be kind of that Falcon-Peyton area.
Yeah, Falcon and Peyton for sure.
So technically it's not really Colorado Springs. Falcon is its own town, but man, everything's growing together so fast. We kind of lump all that stuff together. So Falcon-Peyton out east of town. And then next one down would be
Powers Corridor. Still kind of new-ish, but definitely a little bit more affordable part of town. We're gonna kind of talk about that a little bit more later on. And you work your way down. We're gonna go pretty far south here down to Fountain, which is again not really technically Colorado Springs,
right,
but a major area here, especially for our military folks. And you go west over to downtown, which we've got another video talking about downtown, like in depth, so definitely tune into that one. And what happens after that?
So then the last one would be the west side, some would say the best side of
so
Colorado
that's
Springs.
side.
So that's the general areas that we're going to talk about. And like I said, there's definitely different sub areas within those areas, but we're going to keep it kind of high level and talk about those main areas. Before we get into all that good detail though, let me just remind everybody, our channel, all about Colorado Springs, where to eat, work, live, play, whatever it is. We're here to give you guys all that information. So if you're thinking about a move to Colorado Springs, or you just want to know more about the city, we've definitely got all the info for you. Call, text, email, hit us up in the comments. Want to make sure you have all that great information if you're thinking about heading to Colorado Springs.
Yeah, be sure to smash that subscribe button. If you find this information valuable, hit that little bell up top so you know when we drop in new videos. We do drop videos 2 times a week. And be sure to share this with somebody that you think might find some value in it too.
I like it.
So, Northgate. This is really one of the newer areas in town. There's not really a whole lot of places to build. So people are building north and they're building out east. So Northgate's gonna have all of your new stuff. There's a big Shields out there. We've
love
got
the Shields.
Topgolf. There's that big go-kart place.
Overdrive.
Yeah, Overdrive is out
Indoor
there.
go-karts.
Yeah, it's
2
really,
levels.
Yeah, we've got the there's In-N-Out Burger out there, which I'm a big fan of. We got Torchy's Tacos. Really? Oh my god.
Love the Torchy's
well, there's
though.
a Whataburger
Love
too,
the Torchy's.
if you like Whataburger.
I don't like Whataburger either.
Yeah, no, they're both
They
good.
just put a Five Guys in up there. That's my
Yeah,
burger
there you
joint.
go.
So,
But it's all newer stuff. This is really like the primo suburb of Colorado Springs. So you're gonna find new homes, new apartments. You know, the cost of, they're also building that Sunset Amphitheater up there.
8,000 seat capacity
8,000 seats.
outdoor amphitheater. If you guys know anything about the Denver area, there's a place up there called Fiddler's Green in Greenwood Village, and it's supposed to be very similar to that from what I understand. So, yeah.
But Northgate, it's a great area. It's very family friendly. Those are District 20 schools for the most part, so great school district. It's really got a little bit something for everybody. But I just don't like how far it is away from downtown.
So it depends on what you do. Because I will say,
that's true.
So obviously Francis lives, kind of very close to downtown, like 5 minutes away from downtown. I live 35 minutes from downtown, but I'm only about 15 minutes from Northgate. So for myself and my family, most everything that we do when we go to town is to Northgate.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the area that we hit up. So I'm glad to see all the growth in the area. Now you don't, like for folks like me, you don't have to drive nearly as far to go do stuff, which is really nice. But man, it comes at a cost, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
It does. If you're looking at the housing market on the north side of town, I would say, other than some other unique pockets like Old North End or Broadmoor, like it's probably the most expensive part of town. You have communities like Flying Horse, Northgate Estates, Stonegate, some of those areas they're just at a little bit higher price point. So the housing in the area is definitely more expensive than it is in other parts of town. But like you said, I mean, it's kind of where all the new growth and development is, or at least a lot of it.
Yeah, a lot of it, for sure.
Yeah, so that's Northgate. I mean, I think that kind of sums it up. You mentioned the schools, which are really great. So from Northgate, let's move out to
Falcon and Peyton. Now this is where Sam, the other member of our team here, like actually grew up. Now this area has seen so much change in the past 10, 12 years. A lot of the neighborhoods out there are, ranches, right? They were former ranches. They've been converted into master plan communities. But this is really like the path of progress right now. So a lot of new build communities out there, a lot of new shopping centers that are being built. So they're still kind of in that development phase. You might have to drive a little bit. It's experiencing some growing pains right now. So it's a newer area of town. They don't really have the infrastructure figured out there. And there's more and more people moving out that way every day. And just the city can't keep up with all of that.
Yeah, I think a big thing too is that it's not, like you mentioned at the very beginning, it's not technically part of Colorado Springs. So it's unincorporated El Paso County. So Falcon, while it's but it's a growing area that doesn't have a post office. The post office is actually out in Peyton, which we say kind of Falcon Peyton, but Peyton's actually, I think, about 10 miles probably east of Falcon on Highway 24. And really the only thing that's out there is the post office. There's really nothing else out there. So Falcon is kind of where all the growth is. But yeah, there's kind of some growing pains, traffic congestion, things like that. So they're working through a lot of that stuff. I will say, quick little story here. I lived in Meridian Ranch, which is golf course community just north of Falcon. It's kind of part of that area where there's a lot of development. Lived there for about 10 years. And I remember when we first moved out there, this was probably like 2010, maybe something like that. I remember my wife driving home from work, and she was driving out Woodman Road, which now is a major east-west thoroughfare. Then it was just 2 lanes, one lane each way, if I remember right. And there were a bunch of cows on the road.
Oh, really?
So she's like, where in the crackers are we moving to? There's cows running around on the road that goes to my house. So now you fast forward that 10, 12, 13 years, I guess, probably now. And Woodman is 3 lanes both ways for a majority of it. Narrows down to 2 right before you get to Falcon. There's a new King Soopers that's going in out there, a Super King Soopers, which if you're not from Colorado, that's like equivalent to what Kroger, I think, is the East Coast or Midwest brand. So anyway, so there's a lot of growth in that area. They just opened up a Freddy's Burgers. There's, I think, a Chipotle and a Panda Express. So it's a lot of chain stuff that's opening up there. There's been a Walmart out there forever, for at least 10, 13 years now. So kind of the basic necessities are there, but the housing developments, mainly Meridian Ranch, is just blowing up, man. It's just growing like crazy. And it's always been, historically, it's kind of like, it was a really good bang for your buck because it felt like it was really outside of Colorado Springs. I think from where I lived into like Powers and Woodman, where the hospital is there, it was probably about, I think it was like a 12-minute drive. So it seemed like it was way away, but it was really only like 10 or 15 minutes from Colorado Springs, from the east side of Colorado Springs. But now, because there's so much growth out there, I don't really feel that there's that much more value out there.
Yeah, no,
honestly.
Definitely.
So that's, and it's schools real quick, District 49 schools. That's what all of that Falcon area is. Once you get out towards Peyton, it's actually, man, it's a rural school district that covers Peyton and some out towards Callahan as well. So it's not D49 out that far. But like I said, most people aren't moving out there unless they're looking for like 35 acres plus, that kind of thing. Yep. So Falcon is D49. And I mentioned there's a hospital, Woodman and Powers, which is about 10 minutes from Falcon. So super close to the hospital as well. Yeah.
All right, Powers Corridor. Now this is actually one of my favorite areas of town. It is further out east, but you've got a lot of really great amenities right in that little community over there. Banning Lewis Ranch is also a major, the biggest master plan community here in Colorado Springs. Still got new builds going up out there. Big community centers, lots of parks for the kids. There's a huge shopping center.
First and Main, that's
First
it.
and Main
First and Main, yeah. Big movie theater.
Yeah, big movie theater, a lot of great restaurants. Again, mostly chains out there. But the Powers Corridor, you're really going to be able to stretch your dollar a little bit further. The housing comes in right around the median price range here, which is right around $450, $460.
Yep.
So you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck. And you are right off of Powers, which is a major thoroughfare here in Colorado Springs. So you can, jet down south over to Platte and get to downtown within about 15, 20 minutes if there's no
traffic dependent, right? Yeah.
Platte can get a little dicey sometimes. But yeah, Powers Corridor is really a great area to move into. A lot of entry-level homes there. What's the school district out there?
It's actually D49 as well.
Is it D49?
Yeah, D49
okay,
is this big, long school district. Yeah, so it's 49 as well, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think you mentioned it being a lot of chain stuff. There's a lot of I guess strip malls is probably the right term for them, like retail strip shops that'll have some smaller like mom and pop things in them, but mostly chain for sure. I think it's the area that, other than Northgate, and only Northgate here recently, but Powers has kind of traditionally been like, it's the big shopping area of Colorado Springs. It's kind of where you've got, like you mentioned, Dick's Sporting Goods, Lowe's, I mean, all that, Best Buy, all that kind of stuff is right along Powers Boulevard. So if people are going to go get something, that's usually the area that they're going to go to. We say Powers Boulevard. You also see, if you're checking out a map, it's Colorado Highway 21. You also see that if you're checking it out as well. And that for a long time was kind of the eastern side of Colorado Springs. And now it's pushed out to Mark Scheffel is kind of the eastern side of Colorado Springs. So like Francis mentioned, definitely the growth headed out that direction for sure. Yeah,
definitely.
So the next one, like Francis said in the intro, we're going to go south a pretty good ways. So this is down to Fountain, which is technically not Colorado Springs. It is its own separate city, but it gets lumped in with Colorado Springs. We want to talk to you about it for largely a lot of military folks live down in that area. I think the biggest reason is close proximity to Air Force bases and Fort Carson, the Army post. So the main entrance, I will say the main entrance, one of the main entrances into Fort Carson is Mesa Ridge. So that road, it's an exit off I-25, goes right into Falcon, and then if you turn the other way, you're right into Fort Carson. So all the subdivisions down there, super close access, and then a lot of Air Force folks live there because it's quick access not only to Peterson Space Base now, not Air Force Base anymore, Peterson Space Base, or out to Schriever, which I believe is still an Air Force Base, which is out kind of on the Eastern Plains, just a little bit outside of town. So quick proximity to three major military installations, and bang for your buck, honestly, man.
Yeah,
like, what about the housing stuff?
The housing, I mean, it's right around that median again. Kyle actually just sold a house down there, and a brand new house, absolutely gorgeous. I want to say like 5-bedroom home for right around $500,000, which you're not going to find in a whole lot of communities here in Colorado Springs proper. Another thing that's really nice about the Fountain area is you're really close to the airport down there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So if you're flying in and out, you know, we've talked about in other videos that Colorado Springs Airport is a breeze. So you're right next to the airport. There's also an Amazon warehouse down there. So if you're looking for work, it could be a great opportunity for you. But yeah, Fountain, it's a little bit further south. You know, sometimes getting into town, there's a lot of construction on I-25 right now.
Yeah.
So coming into town can be a little timely at best.
Yeah.
So
I think the other thing too, like if you're doing some research and you're kind of looking at Fountain, realize that Colorado Springs and Fountain, they've grown together now. So there's a section called Security Wide Field that you'll see that is kind of like right by the airport. You mentioned the Amazon warehouse and all that stuff. Like, it kind of gets mixed up with Fountain. So just know when you're looking at a map, you might see Security Wide Field as well. And that's kind of where Colorado Springs transitions into the Fountain area. And Fountain actually goes pretty far south, like the original downtown, if you want to call it that part of Fountain. There's really not much there, but that little area, it's actually pretty far south. It's actually like another intersection south on I-25. So there's a lot of new development on the housing side down there, like you mentioned as well. So there's a lot of good opportunity for bang for your buck. And I was gonna say real quick on the commercial stuff, there is a lot of growing, I guess, kind of commercial development down there, but it is, as far as I can think of, it's very, very chain oriented.
Yeah.
I mean, everything down there is, you know, kind of like your fast food places, your chain restaurants, that kind of stuff. So it's growing just as more people move down there, but you're still pretty limited on the shopping. I would say most people probably come up to Colorado Springs to do that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, downtown. Now this is, you know, traditionally where the action is.
The hot spot.
The hot spot. You've got obviously downtown, lots of great shopping, dining. There's some fantastic art galleries down there. There's a lot of events that happen downtown throughout the year. There was one that Kyle and I went to where they literally had dirt bikes going down Tejon, which is like the main street of downtown, doing backflips and stuff. So that's just, I mean,
cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
A lot of really, really cool stuff down there. You've got a lot of offices that have their not headquarters, but office buildings down there as well. A couple great neighborhoods. Old North End is a historic neighborhood. Is it a historic district?
I think it is.
I think it might as well be.
That's right. It should be.
Patty Jewett is also really close. Very cute little neighborhood, kind of centered around a public golf course down there. So if golfing's your thing, it's a great spot to go check out. But yeah, downtown. We also have another video, a neighborhood tour with talking about literally everything downtown, shops, dining, everything in a little bit more detail. So definitely be sure to check that video out as well.
It's definitely so, man. Super walkable. District 11 schools, major hospital is right in the old North End downtown. So healthcare is super close by. Yeah, no, our downtown, it is, I will say that when I moved here in 2005, downtown, it kind of sucked, honestly.
Yeah.
There really wasn't anything going on down there. You know, companies had like their offices down there, but then like the retail space on the first level of all the buildings, really not much going on. Restaurants weren't really that good. So it has changed a ton in the last, well, I guess almost 20 years now, so you would hope so. But it has changed a ton. So definitely, if you've been to Colorado Springs in the past and didn't like the downtown area, don't rule it out because it has changed a lot in the last few years for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so did we save the best for last? I don't know, some might think we did.
I think we did.
The west side of Colorado Springs. Now this is a pretty broad area, and we've got a series of other neighborhood tours where we've broken down different areas of the west side. So if we're kind of using that clock methodology, I'll start on, I guess would be the southwest side, 5 or 7 o'clock maybe. So that would be the Broadmoor Bluffs area, Cheyenne Mountain Resort. All that part of the west side is awesome. Houses are beautiful. It's right up against the foothills. I mean, it's gorgeous. You really can't say anything bad about it, other than it costs a lot to live there.
Yeah, it costs a lot. You've got the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo down that way too, which is one of the best zoos in the country. Also, because I'm not a huge zoo guy, they are like nationally ranked for how well they take care of their animals. So just a little peace of mind there for you. Great spot to take the kids. You can feed the giraffes and such.
Yep.
Yeah, the Broadmoor area is just, I mean, it's kind of like when people think of Colorado Springs, it's hard not to think of the Broadmoor. I mean, it's really a staple here in town. There's a convention center there. There's the Broadmoor World Arena where they have major concerts. Tool was actually here last year. So the Broadmoor is really a foothold of the Colorado Springs community.
Yeah, it's one of the oldest parts of town. Broadmoor Hotel's been there forever, hotel and resort. So on the housing side, like I said, it's pricey. You know, I mean, it's tough to be under 7 figures if you're close to the Broadmoor Bluffs. You know, you're still over 800,000, I would say. District 12 schools. So District 12 is historically rated the best school district in the Colorado Springs area and one of the top rated school districts in the state. It's a real small school district. So it's always a big factor for folks that buy in that area. A lot of people, they want the good schools, so that's why they buy down there. So that's Broadmoor. I think if we bump it up a little bit on the west side, Old Colorado City.
Old Colorado City,
I would say
baby.
Next, you might know a little bit about that place.
That's my home right there, yeah. Old Colorado City, so it's actually interesting. There's a lot of really cool history there. It was like the base for the gold mine camps. So it was kind of its own city up until I think like 1990 something, 96, 94, when it was merged into Colorado Springs. But it's got its own really cute little downtown area, lots of great art galleries. They do have a festival called Territory Days, which is just this massive street festival. They shut down Colorado Avenue and have vendors and food and drinks and music.
It's very busy.
Yes, it's
Very busy.
But Old Colorado City, I mean, it's got everything. It's got the character. It's got these beautiful old Victorian-style homes. And there's no real HOAs or covenants in that community. So, like, you know, you might have, actually the house that I just moved out of, it was a decent house, but right next to me there was kind of a rundown house from like 1890. And then on the other side of the neighborhood, there's a house that's on the market right now for $1.2 million. So, I mean, it's just kind of a random neighborhood. I don't really know any other way to describe it.
Yeah, it's just a mix of like very old homes, and there's even some lots that have been scraped and new homes have been built.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a unique area. And like Colorado Avenue with all the shops and restaurants, that's kind of like, what do you think, like quintessential, like OCC, like to me, that's it at least.
Yeah.
It's got that, I mean, it's a very like walkable downtownish kind of feel, even though it's pretty geographically small.
Yeah.
So
homes in Colorado Springs, I mean, you can find homes in the 300s. Now they are going to need a little bit of TLC.
little bit.
But there's a little something for everybody there. Like I said, there was a $1.2 million home for sale in that neighborhood, but I think the average price in that neighborhood is right around $5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty affordable. You're going to be looking at smaller homes. They're just old. Like I said, my next door neighbor's house was built in 1890. So they're going to be a lot smaller homes, maybe some smaller footprints. But the location, just having the shops and stuff right there is, I mean, it's hard to beat for me.
That's OCC, man. And then I think we could probably kind of lump the rest of West Side. Again, there are definitely different sub areas, but you know, I kind of say Garden of the Gods up to Peregrine, which the The southern border of the Air Force Academy is kind of where the residential and I guess public stuff, you know, tapers off on the north side, northwest part of town. So all that section, man, there's a ton of stuff. And when I first moved to Colorado Springs, I lived in Holland Park, which is a neighborhood west of I-25, south of Garden of the Gods, north of Fillmore. So that kind of section in there. I absolutely loved it, man. Like I used to say when I lived over there, I was like, I'm never gonna live east of I-25. And now I live like 30 minutes east of I-25. So it's changed a little bit. But I absolutely loved it over there. I really did. I mean, it was awesome location to Garden of the Gods, Ute Valley Park. I mean, just all the outdoor stuff. So, you know, I used to trail run a ton. So you could just literally go out your back door and go for a run, you know, run to a park, hit up the trails there. So just beautiful. You feel like you're just almost like, you feel like you're in the foothills. It's Colorado Springs. You know, that's kind of what you think of. So the west side definitely gives you that. And there's a ton of housing options. It varies for, you know, like that Holland Park area I mentioned, you're probably 500 there. And then if you go all the way to that far northwest side, Rock Rimmon and Peregrine especially, you know, you're in seven figure, like low seven figures up in Peregrine. So there's a ton of outdoor activities. You feel like you're in the foothills. You get some amazing views of Pikes Peak if you're in the right area on the right lot. So that northwest side of town, I think, is probably one of the best parts of Colorado Springs because you're still close proximity, from Rock Rimmon, maybe 10 minutes to downtown, something like that. So close to downtown still. There is, and also, now that we're kind of circling back around the North Gate, you're only about 10 minutes from North Gate too. So all that new stuff that we talked about at the very beginning, you're real close to that as well. And then there's a new Costco and a new medical facility that's part of the UC health facility or health complex, I guess, that's right there at North Nevada and I-25. So right there by Rock Rimmon. So it's a great location for amenities and then also outdoor activities too.
Yeah. Well, that's it, you guys. That gives you a really good idea of, you know, the different areas in Colorado Springs. Of course, there's going to be more pockets throughout. So if you've got more questions, be sure to reach out, give us a call, text. We are the guys answering all of your phones or answering all of your phone calls and text messages every single day. We love hearing from you. And if you've got just a quick question, just drop it in the comments below. We're more than happy to help in any way we can. And we'll see you on the next video.